Welcome to the Story of Scripture, Episode 9, the story of Abram and Sarai. This story is from Genesis chapters 12 through 14, but we're actually going to start at the end of chapter 11 to meet our character, Abram. It says, Terah fathered Abram. Abram's wife was Sarai. Now Sarai was barren, she had no child. Terah took Abram his son and Lot the son of Haran into the land of Canaan, and they settled there. Now chapter 12. Now the Lord said, Go to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So they came to the land of Canaan, and the Lord appeared to Abram and said, To your offspring I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord. With Bethel on the west and Ai on the east, he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. Now there was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt. He said to Sarai his wife, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, This is his wife. Then they will kill me. Say that you are my sister, and that my life may be spared for your sake. The woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. But the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house, so Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done to me? And they sent him away. So we've met Abram, who has one of the most exciting and then immediately disappointing introductions of all time. God blesses Abram, he promises Abram land and descendants. Abram builds an altar to thank the Lord, but not long after there was a famine in the land, and Abram took his family to Egypt. Now Abram thought that his wife was so hot that she would be irresistible to the Egyptians, so he tells her to lie and says that she is his sister. He figures that if they know that she was his wife, that they would take her and kill him. So Abram says to his wife, Sweetie, I love you so much that we should tell people that we're brother and sister. That seems like a bad recipe for any marriage, and this turns out poorly for everyone involved. And so Pharaoh and his court sends Abram and his family out of Egypt. Then we get to chapter 13. It says, So Abram went up from Egypt, and Lot with him. Now Abram was very rich, and Lot also had flocks and herds and tents, so the land could not support the both of them. Then Abram said, Lot, let there be no strife between you and me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan valley. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram after Lot had separated from him, For all the land that you see I will give to you and to your offspring forever, and I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth. So Abram moved his tent and came by the oaks of Mamre, and there he built an altar to the Lord. Abram's family, along with his nephew Lot, returned to the land that they came from, but the land couldn't support all of their livestock. So Abram redeems himself a bit by offering Lot his choice of land. And so Lot chooses the land that was more fruitful, had more water and resources for his livestock, but it was full of wicked people. And we see that God blesses Abram. Abram makes another altar to worship God. And finally we get to chapter 14. It says, In the days of Amphil, kings made war. Then the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah joined the battle. And as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, the rest fled to the hill country, so the enemy took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah. They also took Lot and his possessions and went their way. When Abram heard that his kinsmen had been taken captive, he led forth his trained men and went in pursuit and defeated them and pursued them. Then he brought back all the possessions and his kinsman Lot and the women and the people. After his return, Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of the God Most High, and blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. So in the region that Lot had settled, there were many years of war that resulted in Lot and all his people being taken by the victors. And for the first time, we see an action of what's called hesed love. Hesed is a Hebrew word that talks about our familial bond or obligation. And so Abram rescues Lot out of this familial bond that he has with his nephew Lot. And we see this concept of hesed or familial love everywhere in Scripture, and it exists in our world today. But it's pretty crazy that Abram takes on entire armies with just a few hundred men just to rescue his nephew. And we see the result of this is that Abram is blessed by this man named Melchizedek, who is a king and a priest. And these are titles that would only ever be held in the future by Jesus. And we see this amazing picture of what honors and glorifies our God. And so as we reflect on this story, we have to ask ourselves, to what length are we willing to go to provide for and care for our families? And this is a really interesting concept that's wrapped up by this character named Melchizedek, who's a picture, a type of Christ. And it's that today, through the sacrifice of Jesus, we've all been adopted into God's family. And so all of the believers that we call Christians today are part of this family, bonded by the hesed love that Abram used to save his nephew Lot, and that we will continue to see through the story of Scripture.